Well, there's a lot to think about when it comes to planting rhododendrons here in Oklahoma, and right here is a spot where Leonard has decided we're going to put a plant in the ground. And walking up here to Leonard, I've noticed that the ground is very spongy. What is it we're walking on here?
Right. Well, when we're growing rhododendrons here at our Lendenwood gardens, we plant quite a few of them. So we have a bed prepared, actually composted material, and so it has a spongy characteristic. But you could also use good loam to create a bed like this, or if you're putting a single plant in, then you need to have a large hole 3 to 4 feet across. It doesn't have to be very deep.
Okay, and when you say it doesn't have to be very deep, is this about as deep as we're going to go right here?
Well, actually, if you're creating a bed like this, we dig down into the topsoil about 8 inches and then apply the pine bark or compost to the hole. And so now we want to firm that up by stamping on that. We do not want this plant to go down
As the soil settles?
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to tamp this down. Now, it's so highly organic that what will happen as this decomposes, the plant will actually drop.
Okay.
So we want to start out prematurely with a fairly raised bed.
Okay, well, you got all this organic material, and I also noticed some just pine bark right here, and you've worked that in. Is there a reason for the pine bark?
Yeah, the pine bark has a chemical in it. It's called a phenolic compound that suppresses the soil fungus we get in the south. And so fine ground pine bark is very important when you're planting rhododendrons in the south. And we use it about 50% in our rooting mix.
Okay. And you just...
so here I am. I'm going to mix this into the
this bed of organic matter.
loam
Okay.
that I have, or compost. Now you have to be careful with compost. If you've added lime to the compost, then you do not want to use that type of compost. Just the type that you have not added lime to.
Okay, we want it acidic.
Yeah, we're under the pH is 5.5 here, and we're under pine trees, which is ideal location. It gives it some winter protection.
Okay.
So we're going to put this in the ground, and we want to check the level. Now, when you get your plant, you take it out of the pot, and if you find that the plant is at any bit dry, take a bucket with water in it, and for about 5 minutes submerge the plant in water. So we want it very moist going in the hole.
Okay.
So we'll start out that way. Now here's our plant. We're going to orientate it. We're going to look at the foliage. Hey, it looks better this way. So we're going to turn it around.
It still looks like you're going to plant that right on top of the ground, Leonard.
Yeah, and we want it high in elevation because eventually this will come down. So now if you hold it there, I'll put the pine bark around the roots.
Okay.
And I'll take my hand and kind of tease out these roots so that they're in contact with the pine bark, because it doesn't do any good if you don't have the pine bark next to the roots.
Okay, so you want those roots exposed.
Yes.
And not just contained within the soil ball
Right.
that it came with.
And there again, it's fairly moist there, so I'm going to put the pine bark around there. That's going to give us a lot of oxygen to the roots. The pine bark won't decompose for many, many years, although we know it will break down over time. And so what we're going to do, okay, now what I'm going to do with my hands is I'm going to pack this with my hands. You can use your feet if you want, but it could compress the air out of the root zone.
Okay, lots of oxygen.
And we don't want to do that. So, but we don't have a problem with with wind, we want to have a place where wind doesn't affect us, so we don't have to stake this plant.
Okay.
So, but we do want to kind of pat this down, get the pine bark in, and we're using about 50% fine pine bark to the
Organic matter.
to the existing soil. Then we want to find the top of the plant here, and then we want to add exactly 2 inches of pine bark to that. You don't want to get too much, and he has the pine bark right here. We'll put this all around about 2 inches deep, and each year we're going to come back with a half of a bag, which is 3 cubic feet, and mulch this plant each year. And this is very acid. If you have a pH that's around 7 in your yard, then you want to be above ground. You want to mix this with your existing soil, and then you want to plant on top of that in good loam with or compost with half pine bark.
Okay.
So now we've got it mulched at least 2 inches. If it washes away, you certainly want to add it back. You want to create a dam, something that will prevent it from washing away.
Okay, like a little well maybe, or
Yes,
something like that.
Something so that if you're on a hill where water runs through, you want to make sure it diverts away
Okay.
from that. You want to keep that there. The root zone has to stay cool.
All right.
And you do that with mulching and with high shade or the shade of a house.
Okay, and you have a specific way you like to, irrigation system you like to water your
Yes,
rhododendrons
here at
with?
Lendenwood, we just have a black pipe that's laying on top of the ground, which we've covered with mulch. And then we have a little emitter, puts out about 1 gallon a minute, and we run it for 45 minutes each day here during the dry seasons. If we don't get a good rain, which we haven't been, each week, then we want to water these, which generally May, June, July, August, and September we water with this micro 1 gallon a minute. Now most emitters are 3 gallons a minute, but and you just run it for 15 minutes. But here we want real small particles. It's a cooling effect for the plant, and we run it for longer periods.
Okay, sounds great. I think we've got the beginnings of a great plant here. Can't wait to come back in a few years and take a look at this really big. Well, let's go take a look at just a few cultivars you have here at Lendenwood Gardens.